Wanted to welcome everyone. Like Rita said, I am Tamara Walker. I am a childbirth educator and a birth doula and a postpartum doula. And my business is called Mom RN Birth Services. And I'll tell you a little bit more about myself in just a moment. I'm going to share my presentation. Now that get this pulled up. And we are going to talk, like Rita said, about my top 10 self-care strategies for your pregnancy and for postpartum. So we're going to split it up into 5 self-care strategies for pregnancy, 5 for postpartum. And this is some of the things that I think are very important for you to do for yourself during pregnancy and postpartum so that you can have the best experience possible and so that you can get the care that you need. Try to switch my screen here. Again, I'm Tamara Walker, and I am a former registered nurse. And so with my business name, that's where the RN comes with with Mom RN. So it's Mom RN Birth Services is my business. I had a business called Mom RN for 20 some odd years. I've done public speaking, website, podcasting, interviewing experts, celebrities, authors, just anything to do with health, wellness, parenting, and child safety. And so I did that for many, many years. And then almost 4 years ago, transitioned into becoming a birth doula and childbirth educator, a little over about 3.5 years ago. And I became a birth educator and a doula because I have been kind of an unofficial doula and labor support for over 30 years for family members, for friends, and had been in on many births as a nurse and in nursing school, in addition to all of those for friends and family, and just decided that that was something that I really loved, felt passionate about, and wanted to help other expecting parents to be able to have the type of birth experience that they would like to have and to be able to um, go into it with the information that they need in order to create that birth experience and to be able to make informed choices. That's very, very important to me. And I strongly believe that evidence-based birth education combined with doula support absolutely can transform your birth experience and can even save lives. So I'm extremely passionate, especially about birth education. And so I'm very honored that Mommy Care Kit Company has asked me to come back and teach. And I am excited to partner with them. I think they provide great products in order to help you to be able to have the comfort and support that you need through your pregnancy and postpartum. So again, that's a little bit about me. I'm also a mom of 2. I have 2 grown sons, and I have 2 precious little grandbabies who are 2 years old and 1 year old. And I just love being a mom, love being a grandmother. And so I have lots of experience with little ones. And I'm excited today to share with you some things that I think can help you with your pregnancy and postpartum. And so you might think, we talk about self-care, but a lot of times I don't think we always understand why it's so crucial and why it's so valuable and needed, especially when you are pregnant and then when you've had baby and you're in the postpartum period. You have to realize that when you're pregnant, your health absolutely impacts your baby's health and well-being. But even in the postpartum time, after baby's born, your health and well-being is going to affect not only you, but it's going to greatly, greatly impact your baby and your whole family. It can have a tremendous impact on everyone that is in your household, because how you feel is going to be experienced by those around you, and it's going to impact them. And if you're not feeling well, if you're unhealthy, if you are, physically or mentally unwell, that's going to impact them. And so taking care of yourself is not only for yourself, it is for them as well. And taking care of yourself is going to help you to take better care of your baby. And it really, like I said, it has that big impact. And so when you're taking care of yourself, you have more resources and you feel better. You can take even better care of your baby. That old saying, it's hard to pour from an empty cup, is really true. And it's, an old saying that's been around forever, but there's a reason for that. It's true. When you are not taking care of yourself and you're giving, 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 but you're never filling up your own cup and getting what you need, it's very hard to continue doing that without burning out or getting just very, exhausted, even depressed. And so taking care of yourself is so important. And self-care helps your perinatal journey from pregnancy through your postpartum to be more comfortable, less stressful, and a lot more enjoyable. Because when you're feeling like you're getting your needs met, you're going to be able to enjoy that time in your life more. And, pregnancy can be uncomfortable at times, and postpartum can be too. It can be stressful. It can be, there's lots of wonderful, joyful things about pregnancy and about postpartum. But there's also difficult things and uncomfortable, discomforts that we have to deal with. And so when you incorporate self-care into your routine, then that helps you to really, truly enjoy it more. So let's talk a little bit about what self-care is not. And a lot of people think of self-care as just your basic hygiene needs, just taking care of the basic day-to-day daily activities of living, like brushing your teeth or showering, eating. And yes, those do fall under what we would consider self-care. However, that's not enough. That's really not just the basic things that everybody does every day as self-care is really not quite enough to be able to give you what you need in order to be able to have the best experience with your pregnancy and postpartum, be able to fill up your cup so that you can in turn take care of baby, take care of others, take care of your family. And so we've got to go beyond that. And self-care is not selfish. A lot of people feel like, well, I don't have time to devote to myself or give to myself or do anything for myself, and maybe feel guilty if they do take a few minutes to do something nice for themselves. But it's, like I said, it's absolutely not selfish, because it's not only helping you, it's helping those you love. Caring for yourself is caring for your family as well. And it's a part of that. And so it's not selfish. It does not have to be too time consuming. A lot of people think, I just don't have time. And when you're in the throes of, say, postpartum, and you've got this newborn baby and you're barely sleeping and you feel like, you've just got baby on you around the clock, it can absolutely feel like it's too time consuming to try to do anything for yourself. But really, you can find ways, if you have help and resources, and we're going to talk about that later, to have those self-care moments so that you can incorporate those in. And they don't have to take a lot of time, but even taking a few minutes for yourself is better than nothing and can really help you have um, just, a better experience and a better day. It also doesn't have to be too costly or expensive. So, sometimes I look up things on self-care and, you read in magazines or you read online about, oh, going and getting your nails done or getting your hair done or something, going to the spa. And those are wonderful, fun things to do and can be awesome self-care activities that can make you feel better. But if you don't have the time or can't afford to do that right now, that's okay. You don't have to go spend money in order to do some self-care. So we're going to talk about some ways that you can incorporate self-care. And self-care in the context of how we're talking today is taking care of yourself and your health in 5 different categories, because it's not just one. We human beings are complex people, and we have more to us than just our physical needs. We have physical needs, we have mental needs, we have emotional needs, and we have spiritual needs and social needs. And so we're going to break this down into categories, these 5 categories, to talk about some self-care for each of these categories and how you can do that. So these are my top 5 self-care strategies for pregnancy. So like I said, we're going to talk about 10 of my top 10 self-care strategies for pregnancy and postpartum, and I'm going to break them up into 5 for pregnancy and 5 for postpartum. So for your pregnancy, for your physical health, of course, it is absolutely essential that you go to your prenatal appointments. So taking care of yourself physically is the best way that you're going to be able to make sure that your health and baby's health are well. If there are any issues such as gestational diabetes or high blood pressure or, anything that might come up during the pregnancy, if you're getting your regular prenatal care appointments with your care provider, then you can find out if there's anything that you need to be aware of and what you need to be doing to make sure you're having the healthiest experience for you and for your baby. So it's vital that you go to your prenatal care appointments, and that is a form of self-care for yourself and for baby, is to get those checkups, go to those appointments. And sometimes it may feel like, okay, well, I went to my appointment and my OB was only, in the room for a few minutes and really didn't do much. They checked my blood pressure, they checked baby's heartbeat, didn't really feel like it was worth it. Do I really need to keep going every time they want me to go? And my answer as a former nurse is yes, you do. Um, because like I said, you may be having a really healthy pregnancy, but then something may pop up along the way that needs to be taken care of. And even if everything is great and healthy all the way along, it is essential to be able to just keep track of how you're doing and how baby's doing, because again, that self-care for you is also care for baby. So for your mental health for pregnancy, because pregnancy is not just physical, it affects you mentally, emotionally, every which way. Your body is changing. You are growing this new life inside of you, and trying to figure out, trying to learn all that you need to know about pregnancy and about when baby comes, that can be very stressful. And, if this is your first pregnancy, then this is a whole new experience. But even if it's not your first pregnancy, every labor, every birth experience can differ. No two are exactly the same. I had 2 pregnancies, 2 deliveries, I've got 2 sons. My experiences with my pregnancies and especially with my birth experiences, my labors were night and day different, completely different. So whether you're on first baby or you've got more than one baby, I truly recommend and feel like the best way you can take care of your mental health during pregnancy is to take a birth class. Attend a birth class, learn whatever you can so that you know what to expect. You know how you can learn how to keep yourself as healthy as possible during your pregnancy. You learn what's normal, what's not normal, what to be on the lookout for or aware of, questions to talk with your care provider about, and you can start to plan how you would like your birth experience to be and your postpartum. And when you know what to expect, and when you know what's normal, what's not normal, what are some different variations of normal when it comes to labor and birth, it helps you to be informed enough to make decisions and choices that are going to be wise and choices that are going to make you feel like you are getting to have a say in how your labor and your birth experience goes. And it helps you to communicate with your care providers and make sure that they're supportive of what you're wanting. It also helps you if something comes up during labor and things aren't going the way that you had planned them to be and aren't going according to your birth plan. You can make informed decisions when you have knowledge. And so as a birth educator, it is so important to me that my students and my clients have the information that they need so that they can decide what is right for them and what they want, what they don't want. And that helps them tremendously to go from maybe having some anxiety and fear of the unknown to feeling confident and feeling like, okay, we are informed, we know what we want, we know what we don't want, and we also have the information to be able to make decisions on the fly should something arise that didn't go according to our birth plan, but we can still feel like we are being heard and we are being supported and we are able to make those decisions with the information that we have. And so attend those birth classes. I highly recommend it for everyone. And that will help you mentally because, like I said, it takes away that fear of the unknown. There's so much to learn. And there are some great social media educators and TikTok educators. However, when you are just using those to get your knowledge from, you have to be very careful of the source and make sure that you're following somebody trustworthy who actually knows what they're talking about, because anybody can jump on social media and be an expert. Make sure they have the credentials to back up what they're saying. And so taking a birth class, either in person or online, make sure that you are choosing one that has evidence-based information, that's up-to-date, research-based, that's going to give you the knowledge that you need. So let's move on to your emotional health for pregnancy. So my top emotional health self-care strategy is to learn and practice relaxation techniques. And I teach this in my birth classes. As a part of it, it's incorporated in with many of our classes that I teach, because when you learn how to relax and to be able to get your body and your mind to calm down and relax, even in a stressful situation, or even when you are feeling discomfort or pain, that is going to help you to have a better experience. It's going to help you be able to regulate those emotions, to be able to do things the way that you want to do them during your labor and birth, during your pregnancy. And this carries on. This is a life skill that carries on for the rest of your life. So there are times when I've had, a few students who tell me, Tamara, I just am somebody who has a hard time relaxing. I've never been good at relaxing. I don't know how to quiet my mind and, focus on something to help me relax. And I just, maybe they're a type A personality, or they're really wound up, or they have a lot of anxiety or stress. And so what I say to them is it takes practice. And if you are someone who has a difficult time with relaxing, then you may need more practice than someone who already has that skill and ability. But like anything else, it can be learned, and it can be something that benefits you not only through your pregnancy, but like I said, the rest of your life. So there are so many relaxation techniques out there. Um, One app that I know a lot of people like is the Calm app. There's also Headspace. There's lots of different apps you can use if that's your thing, or you can put on some soft, soothing music and just sit in quiet, get into a quiet room, close your eyes, and just let the music kind of wave over you and soothe you. If that's not your thing, then you might need something like a guided relaxation, where you can listen to someone who is talking you through tensing up and relaxing different parts of your body. And a lot of times they go, head to toe or toes to head, or talks you through kind of visualizing a scene, something that calms you. Maybe you're thinking about your happy place, wherever that might be. Whatever works for you. There's so many different ways that you can learn and practice to relax your body, relax and calm your mind. And this, again, not only for your pregnancy, but this is also something that once you become a parent, there's going to be a lot of times in your life that are going to be stressful with that little one. And if you have learned to relax and emotionally regulate, then that's going to help you to stay calm in those moments, or to calm yourself down if you do start getting really stressed out. And it's going to help your baby and help your child. And so practice makes, they say practice makes perfect. You don't have to be perfect at relaxing, but just practicing that skill and learning it is going to benefit you in so many ways. And it's so good for your emotional health. So let's talk about spiritual health for a moment. For your pregnancy, the spiritual side of you, and that does not have to mean that you practice any certain religion. Of course, if you do, then you can incorporate things from that. For me personally, I'm a Christian, and so praying is something that I do. But if you don't do that, you could do other things that fill you up spiritually. One of the things that I feel is really great for self-care for pregnancy is visualization. And I say that in the context of visualizing what your ideal scenario would be of how you want the rest of your pregnancy to go, how you want your labor and birth to go, how you would love things to be ideally after baby is born for your postpartum. And just taking some time to visualize that can be helpful. And then especially when you get into labor, visualizing things going well and everything moving along, baby moving down and out, everything going well, just visualizing that can be so helpful because that helps get us into the mindset of making those decisions and doing the things that are going to kind of help guide us towards that. And so that is one way that we can connect to our spiritual self, is to kind of just take that time to visualize, what do I really want down deep? What is really important to me? What do I value? And how do I want this pregnancy to go, and my labor and birth to go, and my postpartum time to go? And then let's talk about social health, because even if you're an introvert who prefers to stay in rather than go out, we all have social needs. And we all need to have people around us that we can relate to, that we can talk with, that we can do life with. And so my top tip for your pregnancy self-care, for your social health, is to find your tribe. And what I mean by that is, if you do not already have people in your life that, especially other supportive women or people who have gone through pregnancy or maybe going through it right now with you, then you need to find people that you can talk with, relate with, support each other, get that support from. And, back in the olden days, women who were pregnant and expecting a baby used to be surrounded by family members, relatives, friends, neighbors, or their village. And they would have other women coming in, making sure that they were being taken care of and helping them through that time in their life, so they weren't feeling alone and isolated and doing this all by themselves. And these days, unfortunately, we don't always have family that lives nearby. We don't have always neighbors that we are close with, or, that village around us. And so if you don't have these people in your life already that are supporting you and helping you through your pregnancy, you can find them. And there are lots of different ways to do that. So you might reach out and find a support group, or even through, like I said, take a birth class. If you take a group birth class, that's a great way to find other people who are going through a similar experience as you at around the same time you are. And that could be one great way of finding uh, your tribe. Another way could be, if you attend church, through your church, or you could look up what your community offers. There may be groups that have nothing to do with pregnancy, but maybe have women your age who are, happen to be, pregnant at the same time. And another way you could find your tribe is, and I've seen this play out many, many times on Facebook with Facebook groups, is, I've seen a young mom or a pregnant mom even post, hey, I just moved here. I don't really have any friends yet in this area, and I'm looking to connect with other moms to be, or if they've already had baby, looking for other moms with kids their age. And and then I always end up seeing tons of responses to those. And it's beautiful to see those connections being made. And then they get together offline many times. And so seek out your tribe if you don't already have it, and find those people who can be there with you, that you can in turn be there for them, and you can do life together, because that's going to make a huge difference in your pregnancy journey. And I don't have the chat pulled up, so if there's any questions, Rita, would you please let me know? It's not showing me the option to pull up my chat while I've got my presentation up, so maybe I'm just missing that. But if somebody has questions, please feel free to ask.
Yes, and we do have Tiara on the call. She's our moderator, so she'll be reading those questions off. So far, everything is good to go.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
Okay, so my top 5 self-care strategies for postpartum. And your postpartum period includes, whoops, sorry, I'm going too far ahead. Oh, why is it going that way? Sorry. Okay. I don't know why it went all the way through when I was trying to go backwards. I apologize. Let me see if I can pull this back up and get back to our right page. So your postpartum period starts right after baby's born. And a lot of people think that it just lasts 6 weeks. And the reason a lot of people think that is because typically if you're seeing, your healthcare provider 6 weeks after baby's born, usually that's, unless there's been complications or any other reason that you continue to need that, those appointments, typically that 6-week checkup with your care provider is kind of the wrap up of, okay, baby's born, 6 weeks later, we're seeing care provider. But postpartum, actually, there's been, a lot of discussion over the years over when postpartum ends. And I've seen, anywhere from 1 year to 2 years, to the rest of your life. And so your postpartum time, though, typically we do think, when baby's young, maybe those first year or two is when a lot of times you're being the most impacted physically, and your body's going through those changes after being pregnant, and now a baby's here, and we're, experiencing all these hormonal changes, all these things going on in our bodies. And we're having to take care of a new little one, which is a great deal of responsibility. So taking care of yourself in your postpartum period for your physical health, my top tip is to prioritize healthy nutrition and hydration, because we know we are what we eat, right? And you might have focused on trying to eat healthier during your pregnancy, which is great, and getting the nourishment that you need for your pregnancy. But that's just as important after baby is born. And especially if you're breastfeeding, because if you're breastfeeding, then your nutrition is impacting not only your health and well-being, it's also impacting directly baby's health and well-being. If you are not breastfeeding, your baby is still being impacted simply because if you're taking care of yourself, you're better able to take care of baby. And part of taking care of yourself is getting that healthy nutrition and hydration to help heal your body, because there's a lot of healing that goes on in the body after baby's born, because it took 9 months to grow this baby, and now we've got to do all this work internally, physically. The body is healing, repairing itself, changing. And a lot of people say, is my body going to go back to normal? It's going to go back to a new normal, because pregnancy changes your body forever. And that's not a bad thing. But in order to heal it and to be as healthy as possible, you've got to have good nutrition and hydration. And especially if you're breastfeeding, hydration is critical too, to be able to keep up your milk supply for baby and what baby needs. So healthy nutrition, hydration, and you can plan for that ahead of time. during your pregnancy, I really recommend stocking up on freezer meals, make ahead meals, um, getting a meal train together with friends that can, having a plan in place of maybe people that can bring you meals after baby's born. Uh, Plan ahead so that you already have some things in place that are going to help you be able to get that nutrition that you need and that hydration you need. And then for your top mental health self-care strategy for postpartum, plan. So you're going to have to do this ahead of time during your pregnancy, but plan for your postpartum. Many times I see moms planning all through their pregnancy for labor and birth, but and they might, plan the nursery and decorate the nursery, or make sure they've got everything the baby needs, but they may not think about what are they going to need after baby's born, because it's not just about baby, it's about you too and your health and your well-being. So planning ahead is going to make a huge difference. So like I said, with your nutrition, make ahead freezer meals, getting a meal train, people who can, plan to bring you some meals together after baby's born for a period of time. Planning can also look like if you have people around you who are going to offer help, or might want to come see baby and might offer to help you out some way. A lot of times people think, well, I'll help by I'll hold baby so mom can go do the dishes or do the laundry or take a shower or whatever. If you'll make a chore chart or a list of things, responsibilities, things that need to be done after baby's born, that maybe you could ask some people to do when they offer to help, a lot of times they're going to be happy to do that, because if somebody's offering to help, they may not really know what you need, but they want to help you. And if you say, I really could use some help with, would you be willing to run this errand for me so I don't have to get out with baby? Or would you be, willing to come over and do a load of laundry, or, do the dishes? Whatever it may look like, maybe some light housekeeping, or getting those in place before baby's born is going to take a lot of pressure off of you so that you can focus on healing and focus on taking care of baby. And so if you sit down with your significant other and talk about, okay, here's the household responsibilities. How are we going to handle these right after baby comes? And for those, especially those first few weeks, so that your focus can be on baby and taking care of baby and taking care of yourself. That's going to help tremendously in you being able to do that if you have sat down and made a plan. Also, I recommend there's a link here about visiting postpartum.net, and postpartum.net has wonderful resources to help you to be able to plan for your postpartum and to be able to have a healthier, happier postpartum time in your life. And so they have a great resource tool, planning for expectant parents, postpartum planning, and I really recommend checking that out.
I added it to the chat. So I added
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Did you
Thank
share
you.
it?
Yeah, so my top emotional health self-care strategy for postpartum is to process your birth experience. And by that, I mean not just talking about it, although that's helpful and healthy, but really having a way to dig into not only what happened, but how you feel about what happened, how that impacted you, if there's anything that you felt proud of, happy about, good about, or if there might be anything that you felt regret about or guilt about, or just, felt badly about or didn't like. Those are important things to be able to process so that you can take that experience in your life and use that for your growth, and also heal from it if there was anything that didn't go according to plan or that maybe could have been traumatic. Being able to process your birth experience can help you tremendously in your postpartum to be able to have a healthier mental outlook, emotional outlook, and just feel better about what occurred, whether it was a good, happy experience or not. Um, I did not realize personally the impact of processing your birth experience and the importance of it until I was studying to become a postpartum doula. And through my training and reading some books about it and learning more about um, birth processing, I realized that I had never actually processed the birth of my youngest child. And he was born in the car on the side of a busy highway in Oklahoma City. Um, Completely not our birth plan. You never plan to give birth in a car. And I was someone who, as a registered nurse at that time, and someone who had given birth once before and who had doulaed other births, or been, I wasn't a professional doula at the time, but had been labor support, had been on births, had taken the birth classes. I knew better than to wait as long as I did to leave to go to the birth center. But my labor was so chaotic and erratic and was not following any typical pattern that I thought I had time. And I waited too long. And we ended up having baby in the car. Fortunately, I was fine. He was fine. And we always just joked about that birth. We always just, we were grateful and happy things were, turned out fine. He was healthy. I was healthy. We were all over the news. We even had interview come, a reporter come out and interview us the day after he was born. And so it was one of those, this happened. It was exciting. It was, we joke about it. I never ever thought about that as being traumatic. It never entered my mind. But when I was learning as a doula about birth processing and the importance of it, and I had to process my own birth experience, I realized that some of the postpartum depression that I had after he was born may have been partly due to me just kind of repressing any of that traumatic experience and just joking about it. And, well, all turned out well, it's fine. But never really digging in deep about, oh, how did I really feel underneath that? And while I still don't categorize or think of his birth experience as traumatic, there was a part of me that was like, oh, maybe I should have really delved into that back then. But back then, I mean, he's 30 years old. We didn't really talk about birth processing. I'd never heard that term. So when I talk about birth processing, you can do that with, um, if you have, a therapist, or if you have, if you used a doula for your birth, if you use a doula, they can be a great resource to process your birth with. And, or just, having another mom who's been through a lot of times, just talking that out and really figuring out, how do I feel about this and how did it impact me? Because birth is transformative. You carry that birth experience with you the rest of your life. And so it's important to talk about that. There's also a great resource, and I'm going to ask if it could be put in the chat. Rita, I sent you that link in the chat earlier directly to you. There is a link to a workbook that a fellow doula just came out with, and her name is Mandy Webb Hancock. She is a birth boot camp doula like I am, and she just created this great birth processing workbook, and it's just a guided journal to process your birth. I put a link to purchase that on Amazon if you want to check that out. I do recommend that. I've already received my copy and looked through that, and I felt like that's a great way that you could use if you don't have somebody to help you to process your birth. That's a great way for you to do it on your own.
We had a great question in the chat. She said, when should you have this talk with your clients? Understand not directly after, but how long after birth should I start this process? Really great question.
Okay, and she said with your client. So is she a doula who is asking?
Madam Tara Alexis, are you a doula?
You will have to unmute your mic if you want to
Yes,
speak.
I am.
Okay.
I
Okay.
have, hello, everyone. I'm Tara. I have a business, Nurturing Embrace Doula Services. I am a certified birth doula. I'm in the process of going through my postpartum, and that's something that's never come up. This actual section, like the process, I never knew that part, process your birth. Like you're correct, but I just want to know
Yes.
when, like, is it weeks or should you wait a month? Like, to start that
So
conversation.
when do you typically see your client after they've given birth? You know, whenever that next meeting is. If she's ready to talk about it then. If you have more than one meeting with her, then if she's not ready to discuss it at the first meeting, then maybe it could, you could talk with her about it the next meeting, and maybe give her a heads up that that's something that you're going to ask her about. And if it's not something that's familiar to you, I would recommend kind of reading up on helping someone to process their birth. Because like I said, I had never even heard about processing your birth or what that entailed until I took my postpartum doula training. So I had to do a lot of research and reading on that myself to learn about that. So it is something that you could incorporate with your clients, and it doesn't have to be anything complex. It may even just look like just letting her talk and asking her, if there's something that she says that maybe you want her to explain or dig deeper into, you could say, well, how did that make you feel? Or how do you feel about that? But just a lot of times, just letting them talk through what happened and not imposing your own experience in there. Because sometimes, if we've attended the birth, if we've been the doula for the labor and birth, we may see things and processed her experience completely different than what she did. And so I personally don't ever want to tell my client, oh, well, this is how your labor went, or this is how your birth went. I would like for her to tell me what her experience was and just help her to dig into that, if that makes sense. I hope that helped.
Yes, it does immensely. Thank you.
Great
Thank
question.
you.
Great question.
Okay, so for your spiritual health for your postpartum, again, this might look like if you're a person of faith or you have a faith or a religion that you subscribe to, it might be prayer or meditation. And if you do not have a faith that you follow, meditation can certainly be something that you could use just to help yourself to be able to have those times where, again, calming yourself, relaxing yourself, and just connecting with whatever your higher power may be or whatever resonates with you, to be able to take care of those spiritual needs that we all have. So your top social health self-care strategy for postpartum, stay connected. So I encouraged you in your pregnancy for your self-care to find your tribe. Once you have your tribe, whatever that might look like, whoever those people may be, stay connected after you have baby. And I know sometimes that can be difficult because when you're caring for a newborn, especially, you're just all wrapped up in taking care of that baby and just trying, sometimes you're just trying to get through the day, especially if you've only, had interrupted sleep for weeks on end. And it really truly can help you though, to stay connected. And if it's not in person, if that's just not possible, then text messages, phone calls, staying connected online until you can get together in person will help you to be able to take care of yourself and to be able to have a better postpartum. Because when I hear from moms who feel like they are isolated and on their own during their postpartum, even if they have a loving, supportive spouse or partner, sometimes moms can feel like they're just on an island all alone with this baby, especially if their partner is at work all day and they may be home for, maybe they took 6 weeks off maternity leave and they're taking care of baby, and it's just, okay, my partner's gone back to work and now it's just me and baby and I just feel all alone. And that can really be stressful, and it can really contribute to those feelings of postpartum depression. And so having supportive people around you is going to make a huge difference. So stay connected as much as you're able to, and realize, that there may be a lot of moms out there who are feeling the same way you do. So it might take you reaching out to somebody else, and might find out you're not all alone. And like I mentioned earlier with the Facebook groups, and I've seen it time and time again, I'll see a mom reach out in a group, and she might sometimes even just reach out as anonymous because maybe she feels awkward or weird of, I'm out here saying, I feel all alone. I have no friends. I need friends. And it can be awkward as women to try to make new friends. But time after time after time in the comment section, I will see woman after woman after woman saying, me too, I feel that way too. Let's get together, let's have coffee, or let's chat, or let's, and I see all this support come together just because one person was brave enough to reach out. So if you're having trouble finding your tribe or staying connected to your tribe, it might take you reaching out, which I know can be hard to find that time to do, but it's critically important for your well-being. I know we're getting short on time, so I'm going to wrap up here quickly. My bonus self-care strategy for your pregnancy and postpartum, like Rita mentioned at the beginning, about the mommy care kit, is if you do not have a mommy care kit yet, get a mommy care kit, because that's going to give you some wonderful comfort and support items for your pregnancy and for your postpartum. And so I invite you, if you've not already applied, here is my link, and I invite you to apply to see if your insurance qualifies for that. Because if your insurance will cover that cost for you, it's going to help you greatly to have these items in your arsenal of things to take care of yourself with. So it's question and answer time, and also these are the ways that you can connect with me. Were there any other questions that anyone had in the chat?
Or you can unmute your mic and you can ask
Yes.
the camera any questions that you would like. I know personally, when you spoke about process your birth experience, I think that was probably the highlight for myself, because just
Oh, yes.
your whole story, and just knowing, being a mom and what I went through, it wasn't like what you went through, but still every birth has its own traumatic experience, you know, and so
Yes.
to process
Yes.
that and to know how to is key. You know, knowing, you know, knowledge is power. And that's why, you know, we have these seminars where moms can come on and get their questions answered and bring these experts on. And so that made me think about, you know, just to sit still and process what happened. Even though it's 18 years ago, it's still like,
Mhm.
what did I really experience when I went through that process? Because it happened, and then you next thing you know, you're a mom, and it just goes on, and here we are 18 years later. So thank you. Thank you for sharing. I enjoyed this
You're
seminar.
welcome.
If anyone has any questions, I'll go ahead and mute my mic and let you guys speak.
We had a mom that says, "Thank you so much for this attending. This was her self-care for today." That's amazing.
Oh, wonderful. Yay.
Yes.
I'm proud of you.
I didn't have a question, but I did have just kind of feedback. This was such great information.
Oh, thank
You were so
you.
right. Right when you were saying plan for postpartum is one of the most unplanned and vulnerable
Yes.
times. Like that is the most vulnerable time. Your hormones are seems like they're
I can
fighting
talk.
against you. And you may not even recognize yourself. So knowing these things
Yes.
prenatally and being able to have a plan in place and resources, if you feel like, okay, I think I got it. And then you get there and you're like, oh, I don't. So
Yeah.
so having those resources is amazing because we're not ourselves when we're hungry. We're not ourselves when we're sleepy. And you deal with a
Yeah.
lot of hungry and sleepy postpartum. So
Yes.
this was great information.
Absolutely.
Great information.
I totally
Thank
agree.
you. I appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Awesome.
I'm glad it was helpful.
So I do have a question for the audience. If you could just put in the chat, you know, how did you hear about this seminar? Because we definitely want to, whatever, you know, wherever you found this information, we want to definitely continue to market
Yes.
the platform and share. So you know, that part, we want to get the word out. And like I said, our Eventbrite page popped up. Okay, good, Eventbrite. And if there's any other topics while we have the moms on the call, drop those topics in the chat. We're open. You know, we want more ideas. And Tamara, I want to bring you back as well as the author of this book, Birth Processing Workbook. I would love to bring you guys back to talk
I
about.
would love to connect you with her.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely
Yes.
want to talk with her and have her on because I think that this here is,
I would, yes.
you know, and if a mom get access to this and understand the process prior to going, you know, into
Mhm.
delivery, it's a game changer. You know, it's a game.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank
And
you for that.
probably so many of us need to process our birth and don't realize it.
I know.
Yes.
So that's going to be a very powerful session. And look, I'm already excited for it.
Awesome. I will connect you with her.
Thank you.
Somebody said breastfeeding and helping with body shame after birth. Oh, those are great topics.
Yeah.
That'd be
Now
great.
we do have breastfeeding once a month with Breastfeeding Boldly. So yeah, there's on the invite. Yeah,
Yep.
the invite, right? Yes. So it's
Yes.
once a month, the breastfeeding, amazing class as well. An IBCLC, and she's a midwife and a doula. So absolutely amazing.
Yes.